Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host. And today we have Gemma Serenity on the show, and we are going to dive deep into what her personal journey of awakening was. So welcome, Gemma.
Thank you so much. It is gem. I like a gem, but we never know. It's one or the other. That's fine. Thank you so much for welcoming and for opening the floor. That's such an honor. Thank you,
Well, you're
Kathleen.
welcome. So what did you tell our audience a little bit about what your journey of an awakening spirit was?
It's an interesting journey, to say the least. I was born in a quote-unquote happy family, protected from everything, not from themselves. That means that I was very curious about discovering the rest of the world, though my base programming was that silent, covert narcissism, self-centered type of things that was not recognized as such. So I did not know, I was not aware of it. The only thing I was aware of is that I need to get out. So the first bad boy I found was the right one. And I just ran in his arm and and actually gave up my studies, gave up school, gave up, I think it was high school. I was 17 years old. So high school, gave up everything to actually go live with him and found a family with him, because it's not because he's absolutely obviously mentally sick that he is not allowed to have wife and children. That was the way I was thinking. Gosh. 15 years of domestic violence later. It's like,
Ooh.
So I lived 5 years with that man and then broke up because someone told me, you do not have the right to be happy. You have the duty to be happy. When I heard that, it actually woke me up that I was absolutely unhappy, like the deepest unhappy possible. If I have the duty to be happy, it must be without that man. And I left that man within a few days of that revelation. That was a first starting, like a glimpse of awakening. Did not last long. I went on, dated a few person, and then started another beautiful journey, like absolutely amazing love bombing type, right? So that actually stayed in something very known. A relationship where I still felt like discarded matter in his eyes. And I stick with that person against all odds, and I stay the course. I even, because now I have a child from the first marriage, I even told him, thank you so much for taking care of my child. I must give you a child too. But listen to my words. I must give you a child too, so that if and when we do not continue together, because deep inside I knew it was not the right one for me, at least you have someone, your child. So notice that I am not taking possession of my second child. I'm actually giving it to him, which is exactly what happened. I gave birth. 2 years later, I was gone. Without my child, my baby, without him. Without the bigger one either, who was 15 years old at that time, knowing that both children were always safe. I was not. They were always safe. So that pivotal moment, and this is where one of the biggest awakening of the soul happened. There are several. I tried everything to leave that second one. I understood it was domestic violence all over again, with a different person, different circumstances, but still the same problem. I tried everything to leave, nothing worked. I was back home as if I never left every single time. Until that day when I was fed up. Too much. I cannot take it anymore. And I'm at a level, at such a low level, that death becomes sweet to my thought. So suddenly I look from the 10th floor of the apartment building. That's really cool. Okay, let me jump. Let my body crush down. Let my spirit go to heaven and have a conversation with God. And let me tell to God what is wrong with me. Because it's not with me the problem. The problem is with God, who gave me the wrong card on my life. He gave me a life of abuse. I did not sign up for a life of abuse. That was my intention. That was my communication to God, my complaint. And I even went one step further. I'm okay, you send me back to life. I was not supposed to commit suicide. I remember that. I know. Fine. But now that you send me back to a life of love, peace, serenity, wealth, safety at work, safety at home, everything good. Are we clear? That was my point. That was my communication, my plea to God, actually my demand. Good news is that God does not need us to die in order to have a conversation with us. That's the good news in my story. So I'm on the edge of the 10th floor. I have already prepared the window. It was not an easy thing to do, but I prepared the window in order to actually be able to fall down. And I hear the most amazing voice I ever heard. A voice that feels like presence, a voice that feels love, a voice that feels that I matter. I never felt that before. And that voice tell me in a very sweet way, of course you can jump. It's going to work. And then a little bit stronger. But I'm going to give you the same life in worse. Is that really what you want? So for me, that's God talking to me, because God gives us life. Therefore, who is going to give me the same life in worse? I didn't get it, but I totally understand. Preview of upcoming attraction. Yoo-hoo! That's not what I want. You can imagine my answer. No! And he continued and said, okay, so live by the door. I already tried 50 plus times. Why one more? Well, I'm not going to argue with God. Let me give it a try. I can always die tomorrow. I'm not in a hurry after all. I mean, that's all right. Options are unlimited. I live by the door, and it is the only time the door opens and closed silently, not making any cracking noise whatsoever. And then I run down and I find myself in the street outside, alone. Because you can imagine, when I was planning to die, I'm not going to take my babies with me, not going to take any substance with me, any phone, any ID, any money, anything. No. My car key? No. Why would I do that? I'm going to die anyway. That was my thought. And I'm so grateful, because throughout this process, God carried me through that pivotal moment, showed me the path, gave me an address where to go. Happens to be Sasha's address. Sasha is my third, last, and dream husband. He's an angel in flesh for me since that time. All of that happened in 2013. It's a while ago. But it's still a pivotal moment. So that was the biggest awakening of the soul. When I find Sasha, he does everything he can to actually put me to safety in a psych ward, because when you have like a young woman coming and saying, yeah, I'm going to commit suicide, so what? He's like, you psych ward first. Let's have that pass, and let's try to breathe some life back into you. Ooh, I can imagine that. But I was so candid and so fearless. There is something pivotal. I did not fear death anymore. Therefore, I dared the impossible, living. That was the first big awakening of the soul.
Wow. But you didn't experience domestic violence in your childhood home, right?
Depends how we define it. According to definition, it was, but I did not feel it that way. I did not recognize it that way until much later in life, until going through all my healing and transformation journey, where I actually learned to recognize what was going on.
Okay. So you
So,
picked it up on a subtle level, even if you didn't actually see the physical.
well, there was physical too, but that was normal.
That was
So normal
normal?
that I
Oh,
did not see
God.
anything wrong with that.
Wow.
To the point that my
Sasha,
very,
Gemma, that's like, no.
I know,
That's
but
not
how?
normal.
Listen, I was born in 1978. That was the last generation where spanking, beating, and physically correcting, that was the term used. I'm going to correct you and farm. That kind of things. Now, I heard other stories of parents beating up their child, which are a ton worse than what I went
Oh, yeah,
through.
right.
So I know there is a ton worse. I had it quote unquote easy. The problem is that it encodes physical correction as normal, belittling as normal, not trusting me as normal, that I'm not good enough as normal. And I wanted out, of course. But I didn't know any better. So I chose something similar or worse, actually worse.
But your husbands didn't beat your children, right?
No. Yeah, the first one, yes, did. I'm sorry about
The
that.
first one?
The first one, the severely mentally ill, did.
Ooh.
And that was unbearable. That was unbearable.
So how are your children? So I'm going to go down a little different path because this is really important. So how are your children? Did you get them in any kind of therapy so you can break that chain of violence? I know if the one's mentally has mental challenges, I know that might be a little bit different. So how are you navigating through that?
The son of the first one is still dealing with mental health illnesses now
Okay.
at 27 years old.
Wow.
And as he now lives with us, with Sasha and I, we are getting the full blown effect of it. It's not fun.
I bet not.
He does the best he can with what he has. He doesn't have much.
Yeah, that's all
Because
you can do.
relationally, like the prefrontal cortex, relationally doesn't work. Now, at work, he's amazing. He's an expert. He does it amazingly well.
Wow.
But relationally, I mean, yesterday I went to a CT scan, and a CT scan means that you have to actually have your heart rate much lower. So they gave you a medication, and I was completely like slowed down in a way that I didn't know even if today I would actually be present for this episode. But thank God it has passed. Do you think he would have gotten up and done all the routine I do in the morning for me, because knowing that I was going to take that medication? No, it did not even occur to him. When my husband, Sasha, knew that, organized his day, made sure to stay present and not sleeping too much during the night, knowing I would have already taken that medication during the night, knowing I have my tiny little kitten to feed 2 times during the night, knowing that I'm going to rise at several times. And he was sure to be present. And in the morning, this is when I was the less able to actually move my body and do things, because I had such a slow heart rate on purpose. This is when he actually scooped out the litter box, did all the breakfast, did all the cleaning and everything. And later, when we were on our way to the doctor, and thank God for my husband driving and supporting me, then I received a message from my son. Good luck at the doctor. I was thinking, it's not even the doctor. It's a CT scan. It's even different. But anyway, thanks. And I learned to not expect anything from him. So we still are dealing with that.
Well, and it's a spiritual journey, that it's a contract that the two of you created for whatever the purpose is for both of your growth. And maybe it's just about helping love him as he navigates through the world the best that he can. So, yeah, wow. I mean, those are challenges in and of itself without domestic violence that being involved.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. And sometimes he really goes crazy violent. So
So they don't
sometimes,
have him on any kind of medication or anything to
yeah,
keep him
yeah,
stable?
yeah, a lot.
Oh, he is?
Oh yes, absolutely, a lot. He's under, I don't know how many medication, maybe 4 or 5, to
Wow.
actually to balance everything. And we go with him to the psychiatrist to really give an objective picture of him and not a distorted the way he gives himself his own picture.
Hmm.
So, oh yes, and some of the medication help, and some of them really don't. And it's
Hmm.
really a fine line, a fine balance to find what works.
Well, I guess the good thing is he's good at work.
Yeah, that's a good
You
thing of it.
know, I mean, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing of it.
So it's just he's just has to deal with he's got to learn how to handle
Relationships.
relationships that he may never learn.
Correct. Because
Wow.
of that prefrontal cortex that is missing. I mean, that there is something off there,
Yeah, and there's nothing
not
you can do
connected.
about that. So, as you came back from your dark side of your awakening, what did you go through from that point on from your awakening to get you where you are today?
That's a good question, because now that's the last 12 years, the years with Sasha. Sasha is an awakened soul already. He never actually fell asleep. His soul never fell asleep. He stayed connected. He was born highly disabled in a way that he was looking at life or death from day one, as well as mentally challenged or well mentally, as well as paralyzed from the waist down or able to walk, all of that. And with potential first death before 7 years old. So it was like, whoa.
Whoa.
And he never disconnected from the divine within. He never disconnected. He kept on receiving that download, and to this day, he keeps on receiving that download straight from the angels, from the spiritual realm. So he never forgot. So he actually received the mission to help me awaken, because he saw the big vision that I now have fully. That is, I'm going to inspire millions of individuals to step into their divine self, to reconnect with their soul. Hence, we are so aligned.
So how was your relationship when you first came together? Because you still had a lot of mental icky stuff going on in your own brain. And then here's this divine being coming in to help you. That's a mind screw right up here, because you're breaking, you're looking, you're going, whoa, I don't deserve. How did you navigate through all of that?
When we considered so many months, so first of all, Sasha came in my life to help and support. That was his first role. It was not a question of love yet. There was a connection for sure. There was an attraction for sure, but it was not a love story before many months later. Many months later, after I already started to trust him, started started on that healing journey, I was thirsty of knowledge, but real knowledge of life, of energy, of how it all works, of universe. I didn't even know what word to put on that. But I was thirsty of real knowledge. I was an accountant, so what I knew already was numbers, but that's not numbers that are going to save your life and your soul. Nope. Going to do a small income and done. and what actually happened is that the first big revelation was when we considered the possibility to also become a love romantic couple. Because the idea, even though I brought it up because I was objectively in love with him, but then when I just said, are we more than brother and sister? Are we actually together? That was the question. So that was the way I formulated it. You notice I did not say couple. And as an answer, what I receive is, of course, my love, I love being a couple with you. You're absolutely amazing. Couple, total PTSD. I'm not in a couple. Couple is bad. I'm afraid. I know 15 years of couple. I'm not getting married anytime soon. Oh my gosh, I'm not divorced anyway, so I'm safe on that one. Oh my gosh, I went into a frenzy, a real deep fear of domestic violence, of course. That's all I knew. How would that be different? But I was in love with that man, and I felt he was good. So it was extremely confusing for my mind and my brain and my heart to actually align. So I tried to express that to him. Why do I say that as in message? Because just during that time, he was visiting United States and I was still in Switzerland when we actually discussed that possibility to actually be a love couple. So it was all by email, actually. So I thought about my emotions. I felt it through. It was a tornado of emotion. And I tried to put that on paper for him. And I told him, listen, I am not ready to be a love couple with you. Because love couple means, not love, couple means, and I listed all the things domestic violence means to me. With the cheating, with the beating, with untrustworthy, with the make-believe, with the global family picture to make everybody believe it's all good but when the door closes, it's like hell on earth. That kind of things. And then I created a second column and I said, now, if you offer me a lover, have an affair, if you want to, a lover perspective, where it is only about love, then it means, and I listed all the goodness of love, the union, having each other's back, trusting each other, always saying the truth, not having any secret, being transparent with each other, supporting each other, that kind of things. And I sent him that message saying, I am not a couple, because couple means that. Now, lover, I would consider. And he said, okay. That is one of the rare times he actually picked up the phone at $3 a minute to actually call me and tell me, okay, you see your last message? Well, everything under couple, you put a real big black marker on it. You cross it out. That I am not interested in that at all. Now you take the title couple and you put it alongside love, because all that you have listed on this love, that's what I'm in for. That is what I'm inviting you to join me in. And I said, okay, if that's a deal, I can give it a try. And if it doesn't work, we can always go separate ways. So, okay, I'm safe to leave, like preparing my exit right away, I'm safe to leave anytime. I will never stop you from leaving. You know where the door is. I will just take back my broken heart and let you go. Which I never heard from any of my two previous ones. It was more like, no. You're here, you mine, you stay. And you take responsibility. Woo-hoo. No, I'm done. He answered that. I still had to deal with burst of fear, but throughout the last week he was out until he came back. I had time to prepare and to think of it again and again and again, and to really remind myself, it's a lover. It's a love. It's not a couple, it's a love. All right, let me give it a try. Maybe, just maybe, because I was so yearning for love. I needed to be loved. I did not love myself. That was also the big point of it. I knew what I wanted and what I did not want. So that was a big progress already. But I didn't know any better. How are we on time? Are we good?
We got about 20 minutes.
Okay, good. So that was the first big, in French we say tiraillement. Pick the right word in English, like friction. That was the first huge friction to actually break through my limiting beliefs, my belief pattern. And he did it gracefully. Like he's an angel, I'm telling you. He's an angel. Another story of those big awakening moment, because the real question is that awakening of the soul. Now we jump a few years later. So in the meantime, we moved together to the United States. He sells everything he has. He offers me that opportunity of a lifetime. We moved together to the United States as I asked him to. Did I have a plan? No. If you're prepared to go, have a plan. That is my advice. Have a plan. Think about how you're going to earn money over there. What kind of business are you doing? Or what kind of job are you going to get? And already start to search and to explore those. I did not. So we simply used up all the wealth that he accumulated by selling everything. And what next? Well, rock bottom. Because I did not prepare. That was another big knocking at the door of my soul. What am I doing here? Why? And now there is no resources anymore. What? Why? What's that thing? I was simply depressed on my phone playing a mindless game. When suddenly it's like if the angels were beaming on me a ray of golden light. Because out of the blue, I was just playing depressed. It was probably midnight or so. Suddenly, it's like a veil unveils. I'm able to see. And I see all the correlation. I see all the love I received. I see all the love I did not give because I did not know how to give love. I saw all the good thought and good vibes I received, and I saw all the bad vibe I gave in return. I saw all the wealth I received, and I saw the wealth I did not give back. I fell in tears of regret, realizing that I brought that upon us because of my way of thinking. From that moment on, I resolved to love purely, completely, universally. And I resolved to not entertain bad thoughts anymore, negative thoughts anymore. Did I succeed? Not really, but I did get a lot better.
We're human.
Yeah, exactly. But I resolved on improving my thinking, understanding the correlation between what I think and what matters, meaning come into matter, what manifests. Miracles after miracles after miracles. Money started to still come, and still miracles. Good things happened. We were carried all the time in miraculous way. We don't have enough time to go through all the miracles. There are so many, but it's absolutely gorgeous to see how God carries you when you open your soul to your Creator. That is what I really want to emphasize here. Yeah, so these are two of the big ones. There are more. Where do you want to go next?
So what path did you take, since you're wanting to help, you're wanting to love, you're changing all of that? What specificity, where specifically did you go with this, and how did that come about in moving into that direction?
The first thing I did was to write down on our gigantic whiteboard all I did wrong, all I did right, asking for forgiveness for all I did wrong, recognizing all that I did right. And that was my coming to Jesus moment, if you want to. So that was the first thing, acknowledging, repenting on the wrong, thanking for the right. And obviously, when you do that, you have more and more gratitude in your heart. And the more grateful you are, the more grateful you receive, the more gratitude. I mean, it's an amazing wheel that goes positively as well. And then a miracle happened. I told you that Sasha was born highly disabled, but since the moment we arrived in the United States, nobody told us that the water from the tap is not healthy. It is quote unquote drinkable. Not really, but yeah. But when you give that on a already weakened immune system, Sasha was physically dying. He was close and close and close to death because of already his weakened body, because of that health condition from the start. Even though he was able to actually have an amazing mind, be connected to God all the time, walking, never died. I mean, he's still alive at 47 years old, so that works. And even though he is a miracle, his body still is in pain 24/7. But because I kept on giving him tap water, like in Switzerland. It's pure water out of the tap in Switzerland. You can do that. It's totally healthy. Not in the United States. And I kept on feeding him and giving him that tap water. Within 2 years or 3 years, he was dying. He just summoned the most of his energy when he heard that I was going to a meeting with entrepreneurs. And he felt the urge, the intuition, I must go there. So he just took his painful body, drove us there. And sure enough, we meet a naturopathic doctor who lives a couple of streets away from us and who created a water treatment system that attaches to your kitchen sink and frees your body from all the free radicals, from all the inflammation, from all that thing. So all our bodies became healthy again. That was the biggest blessing, because not only did she give that, she also gave all those superfood powders. So giving life back to our body. Sasha suddenly started to dream again. It was like, really? So we had an amazing testimonial of her products. And she told us, okay, go promote and sell those products. You will get a hefty income. Let's do that. Boom. We made way enough money to cover all the money that we needed to live on a daily basis. And it was a joyous experience. We went that way a few months, and then something else came and broke our momentum. We were just starting to build back our daily spending, our daily living expenses, when suddenly we learned that our landlord is selling the house and we are asked to leave within 30 days.
Whoa.
We have a short credit score, both of us, do not have any savings. First and last month to get started again, or buying a home, or showing 2 years of income, none of that. We lost the momentum because now I went back into fear. I would say it's logical. Yeah, but that's not good for manifestation.
Right, exactly.
That's not good for manifestation. For manifestation to work, when you get that kind of news, you celebrate your new home. You go and you just sing along how grateful and how blessed you are to have a new home. That's what you do for manifestation to work fast, especially when you have no money and you cannot really search for something with nothing, right? My God. We were not able to sell anymore because of so much fear. We were not able to convey that excitement of a healthy water anymore. So no more commission. And it was not like a fixed salary plus commission. It was just commission type of income. So it works as long as you are super motivated for it. And we ended up in a Motel 6 for a week. That was even a blessing. Because suddenly someone just decided to offer us and to pay for a week in Motel 6 so that we can find out the next step. Even that there, I started to really drop into gratitude and feeling blessed. Suddenly 1 week felt forever. And by the way, that week extended to 2 or 3 weeks. Because I felt it, it was like, okay, thank you. It works. And those same people even like filled up our pantry so that we can eat. So suddenly like a roof over our head, food on the table. So we had something. We even had help to actually put everything in storage when we had to leave the house. And then someone else showed up and just say, come at my house. Thank you. Gosh. Come at my house, okay? And any rent at all? Just come. Be my guest. And we stayed guest for 3 years. But during those 3 years, we started to build our businesses and rebuild trust and rebuild all of that. So we actually retransformed our life with gratitude, having touched rock bottom in a way that really felt only carried by God to go through that. That was an awakening moment of the soul. Now, later on, we talked with Sasha again. Sasha, who is highly connected to the spiritual realm still to this day. And one of the big questions we were asking was, why does it take to touch rock bottom? Why can't you simply multiply the wealth you receive? And this is where the most recent awakening of the soul happened. And this is where I actually changed my name on TikTok to put Gemma the Manifesting Queen, so that everybody knows what I'm at, how I'm going about that. And this is where I understood that joyful expectation of things as if they have already happened, that is a notion that is taught in every sacred text of every religion and every school of thought. Joyful expectation before you see it. Expecting the best. That's not hope. That's expecting the best. There is only the best, nothing else. And if anything less than the best shows up, dismissed, only the best. That means that if with that knowledge, right now I'm here like, okay, in 30 days you're gone. I will just smile and say, thank God. How blessed. Thank you for our wonderful home that we have been manifesting in the best neighborhood possible. Thank you for that flood of money. I will go that way and make my body believe it. That's how I would go about that as an awakened soul. And yes, it took to touch rock bottom. For me, it doesn't have to if you step into your divine self right away before you actually touch rock bottom.
That's such an amazing story, and it's so true on just willing yourself, not willing, it's just being grateful, because that's exactly how I came out of a very dark place too, was gratitude and believing and what did I want, and owning it, just really saying it, I'm worthy and deserving of it. So Gemma, how can people get a hold of you?
There is a simple website, gemmaserenity.com. A simple TikTok handle, Gemma Serenity. A simple everywhere, Gemma Serenity. That is how you go about me. That's quite easy. Gemma. Think about it, gem, Gemma. Serenity, exactly as you hear it, exactly what it means. And that is how I love to connect with real people. Right now, I'm building community. That means that I'm answering messages. I'm answering people who reach out to me. I'm creating that solid community who want and desire and are on their way to connect with their divine self, with their higher self, with their soul, with their divine alignment, so that they may manifest everything they want, just because they understand how to use it. And right now, I'm also publishing a book about the 12 universal eternal laws. I'm taking the cat's perspective because I love cats, So it's a very fun read. I'm just like finishing up the last chapters right now. Going to publish it like this month of October, guaranteed. Maybe something, we'll see. But something good is coming. something good is cooking.
Oh, it should be a fun read.
Yes, it
Well, I
is.
want
I
to thank you
guarantee.
so much, Gemma, for coming on the show. And I want to thank all of my guests for joining. And if you found any value or you know anyone who needs to hear this message, please send them the link and like and subscribe to the show. And I will see all of you next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a fabulous week.